So today I'm just going to show you a couple of different things that I'm doing using the products I received from Cobeads. The first thing is involving these little cardboard cards. They're just small gift type cards that I got, and I'll put it in the description box below what they're called exactly. They measure around, I'll put that in there as well. And all I'm doing is making a couple of little sample cards for the journals that I'm working on now. So what I've done is I've got one of these plain cards and I've folded it over like that. And this is going to be my little template. And then I'm getting myself another card. This is the front of the card. You can kind of tell because you can feel the cut edge on that side. So this is the smooth edge. So what I'm going to do is put that inside of that, turn it over, and I'm going to fold it over. And that's just my guide to know that all the ones I make will be the same size. I've got my hole punch here. You can use any kind of hole punch you want. And I'm just going to punch a hole in the top. Now I can put a piece of fabric in there, or I can put some papers in there, either way, and either stitch it or staple it in place, just like you would find a sample card in a fabric store. Sometimes when you want to get samples over online, they'll send you little swatch cards and things like that. So that's all they are. And I've started making a few to put in my journals. I'm going to be putting fabric on some of them, and on other ones I'm going to leave them blank so that whoever gets the journals can put their own samples in as well. So that's why I'm making a few of them. And they're very simple. And it's a way of me using all these boxed cards just one way. I'm sure there's going to be lots of different ways that I can use these cards up, seeing as I have so many of them. Probably a good idea for me to also write on here, template. That way I know that this is my template, so that they stay all the same. Mind you, you might want them all different. Very, very simple project. So just a couple more to do. There we go. My template, I'll put that to one side. So I have a bundle of these here that I can use in the journals that I'm putting together now, which happen to be sewing themed journals, so these will work out wonderfully well. You could edge these with things, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want them to look too dark in my journals. But like I said, you could get some, let me see, okay, here we go. I've got some fabric here. Where's that template? Okay, so all I have to do is cut a piece of this. Actually, what I'm going to use is, I have this lovely fabric here. I just want to put a little sample in it. This seems to be nice to go with my journal, the colour wise. I'm going to use my pinking shears, just pink it a bit. I will probably have to press this. Let's have a look, see if that's big enough. Have been a bit bigger, really, couldn't it? But it's okay. that should probably fit in there. It could have been a little bit bigger. I wonder if it could go. No, I want it that way. So I want it just sitting underneath the hole, because you don't really want it covering the hole. And then you just put 2 little staples in, and that can be your little sample card. Or you could decorate it if you wanted to. But I want to keep it simple. You know, like if I put something in there, I could write the name of the fabric in there. Oh, it's got little bunny rabbits on it. Didn't know that. But the ones that I send that are blank, that will kind of go like that in the journal, I'll leave blank so that whoever gets it and puts their own fabrics in them can write the name of it. I don't know the name of this fabric anyway, but you get the idea, don't you? It could probably be a little bit smaller, not too much, like that. There. Needs pressing, but I just want to show you. I think I've only got blue staples. I do, look, I've only got blue staples. So this will just be a sample to show you. I'll have to get myself some more staples. I suppose I could use blue, but it won't really go with the journal very well, so I don't think I will. Or I could stitch it, to be honest. I could just stitch across there. Perhaps that's what I'll do instead. Okay, I will stitch it. Okay. I'm going to leave a couple of bits of threads on it. I like that. So there we go. It's just like that. You could add a couple of pieces of fabric, but that can be a nice little journal spot in your journal also. You see, to me that looks a little bit bare, like it needs something there. But if you were putting your own sample on, you might write on that. So that's why I've left that. Plus you can write on the back of it as well. So I don't want it, like if it was only that big, it might not. Let's have a look. Maybe it would be all right to be smaller, like that. I kind of like it bigger though. I really do. I need to press it. Yeah, I kind of like it a bit bigger. Oh, I know what I can do with it. I can stamp on it or something, so that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got to make, because I'm making 2 journals, I want to do 2 things the same. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple and leave some blank. Okay, so I just used some little clamps to hold them while I was stitching them. There we go. Some nice little sample cards. Very simple, quite effective. That one just kinked up while I was sewing it, so we'll just press that a bit like that. So I have that lovely, I'll give that one another press too. Okay, so we have that one, which is little embroidery anglaise piece, some lovely floral fabric, and these 2 as well here that I did. And so they will be for the journal, and that's using these lovely little cards from Cobeads. And now I have another little project to share with you as well. So just, I'll put these to one side and we'll start with something different. Okay, so I often end up, just put those to one side, with strips of fabric left over from projects, and I put them in my drawer down here. That one's a little bit more shabby than normal, but you know, end bits like long strips of fabrics that you may have left over from projects. That's a shorter, wider piece. I could probably cut that one in half. Okay, so this is what I normally end up with, little bits of fabric like this. So what I thought was I would make something from them for the journals that I'm working on at the moment. And with Cobeads, I also have I have this lovely tool, Deco mesh they call it, but I'm going to call it tool. There we go, get rid of that. And I thought I might like to use some of this in this project. It's really hard to see because of the colour, but if you could even double it over. So I've got I think they call that silver, and I have the aqua, and I have the pink as well. Such pretty colours. Just let me look at my journals, make sure I'm getting the right colour. Probably won't use the aqua this time around, so I'll put that one to one side. The pink and the silver will go beautifully with the project I'm working on. Okay, so let's find ourselves a piece of fabric. That one looks all right. We'll start with that one and get rid of any excess threads. And what I'm going to do is layer some of this tulle over the top of it. I'm just trying to work out whether one or two might be all right. I'll take it all the way down and then we'll come back up. That's the easiest way, I suppose. And like that. So we'll use some of that on there. Hold it at that folded edge, might be easier to work with. And I'm going to put that on top there. We'll just clip it there for the time being, like that. All right, what else have we got? Although they're all similar, maybe I will cut that in half as well. You could use a ribbon as well, like seam binding. I don't have a lot of seam binding, so but I'm just going to cut it like that, and that can perhaps go on top, I think, like that. Okay, and now to hold that, do I want to hold it or not? Excuse me. I'm going to put it more to one side than the other because I wanted to be a page edge, and I think that would look nice. So and I will do one in the coloured one as well, which will probably make it easier for you to see. And I know this kind of, okay, so okay, so it's sort of like that. So I'm kind of lining these up a little bit, not exact though. I kind of, you know, I want it a little bit all over the place. So they're my layers, and I will organise that once it goes under the sewing machine. The next thing I'm going to do is use some of these embroidery threads and also the sewing machine threads. And I'm probably going to use I'm trying to think. That one's a pretty colour, that one there. See this one here? I'm trying to use colours that will coordinate nicely with the journal I'm working on. And there's 10 different colours in this package. So I'm going to use this one, which is, it's kind of a peachy pinky kind of colour. There's a pretty purple one there that I've just unwrapped accidentally. There's reds, there's greens, there's apricots, there's a limey green. That's quite nice, isn't it? There's an apple green in there. And there's a few different shades of green, and there's, like, look at that one. I quite like that one, but I'm not sure that will go with my journals that I'm working on. I just need to have a look. I'm thinking perhaps that one will go more than anything. So I'll take that one out as well. Anything else? No, I think that's fine, because that will go more towards that than that one, I think. So we'll put that to one side. And now we need some thread. I quite like the green thread. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, because that will go all right with that one as well, I think. And I could use the pink, of course. And I could use the grey, of course. They would both work well. In fact, I'll leave them all out, those ones. I love the box this came in too. It's got that real old kind of vibe going for it. It's really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to set you up near my sewing machine. Okay, so I'm at the sewing machine now, and I hope this is light enough for you. Let's just have a look if I can get it a little bit lighter. Whoops. Is that a bit better? It's a bit orange, isn't it? Hang on. Light's all over the place here. Okay, because of course I've got a light under here. I've got my hot light here, but of course it doesn't shine over here, but I'm sure you'll be able to see. First thing I'm going to do is take the bobbin out that's already in there. And also the thread. And this is my new sewing machine, which is exactly the same as my old sewing machine. So it's new but old. I love it. I do. It's much quieter than my old one. Put my good glasses on. I have a couple of bobbins here that I'm going to use. And I have my skeins of embroidery thread. So what I'm going to do first is take this out of its packaging and find the end of it. And I'm going to thread it onto. You don't really have to get it through the holes if you don't want to. You can just hold it. I'm going to put it on my bobbin winder, which is over here, and press it. And with this one, instead of having it on a spool of thread, I'm just going to hold it and hold that little tail there and turn it on would help. There we go. And let it wind just a little bit till it catches, and then trim that end bit off. And then keeping hold of this one, I'm going to keep winding, trying to keep it nice and even. So I'm keeping it as low as I can on that side, and it's not going to probably fit all of the skein of embroidery thread on, but it will take quite a lot of it. I've managed to get it a bit tangled, but sometimes that happens. There we go. So much quieter than the old one. It's lovely. Okay. I perhaps should have had that better in my hand and it wouldn't have got tangled as much. It's almost full. sure it's going to stop in a moment because it'll tell me it's full. Yep, that's it. Okay, so I'll get that one sorted shortly. It's a bit better, like that. Okay, so if I hold that like that, see, where's the camera? There we go. If I hold it like that, it might not get quite as tangled. Well, I hope. Once again, putting it on my bobbin. Seems to be working a bit better. So definitely put the thread over your handbag. And I'm putting I'm filling it up because I want to use this method on a few things. So it's easier, and it doesn't last as long as you might think either. Like a full bobbin full of cotton lasts quite a while, but embroidery thread is much, much thicker. There we go, it's stopped now. Okay. And take that one out. So we have 2 bobbins full of our embroidery threads there. And now I want, let's get, maybe we'll use these 2 and we will just use them on different things perhaps. Okay, so if I use the pink bobbin here, oops, hang on. How's that? Can you see that? You can, can't you? Okay, so I put my bobbin in here. The way your bobbin, each machine may be different. So I'm putting my bobbin in there like that. I'm choosing which thread, so I'm going to go pink bobbin, green thread, I think. Put your thread how you would normally put your thread. And this actual machine is the Janome 18, My Excel 18W. It is a limited edition. It's a little bit different from the original. I found a couple of things that are a little bit different, but the basics are pretty much the same. So thread up your machine. So it used to be a button when you used the bobbin winder, but there's no longer that button involved in it. So I keep going to press it, but it's just not there. There is a needle threader in this. On my original machine, it broke years and years ago, so I don't even think to use it anymore. Maybe I should. I'm not quite. Oh, when you get a thread, cut the top on a slight angle, and that will help you to thread it a lot easier than having a blunt thread. So that'll go straight through now. So if it's got a little angle on the end of your thread, it will be fine. So bring up your bobbin thread like that. There we go. There we go. Let's just move these things out of the way. Okay, and let's just get our piece here. I haven't tried it on this machine yet, so we'll see how we go. This is not meant to look tidy, so I've got my fabric, my tulle, my fabric. Okay, so now you've got your fabric and your tulle and your fabric, and what you're going to do is turn it over to the wrong side. Turn it over to the wrong side, put your needle in, and then I want mine scrunched. You could leave it flat if you want. I'm going to start mine off by scrunching it up a bit like that. I have it on a 3.5 needle length, and it's on a straight stitch. You go as slow as you want or as fast as you want. with this. So I'm just using my purple thing, and I'm going to maneuver it as best I can as I go along. Because you're working from the bottom of it, you've got to kind of think in reverse. If you want some more scrunching, just start it up again, which is what I want. I hope that's working. Yes, it's working. Good. So just stop every so often and rearrange what you want to rearrange, like that, and keep going. Okay, we'll stop there and cut it off, and I'll show you what it does. And that's what it, oh, can you see? I hope it's light enough. Might have to take the camera. That's what it does. That's the side we sewed on. There's our straight stitch there. But on the reverse side you get the bobbin stitch, but because the embroidery thread is a lot thicker than the normal thread, you get this texture going on the back, and it's really, really lovely. And then you can see all your layers down the strip, and it's just a nice addition to a journal. And so that is the method for doing it. And I'm going to head and I'm going to do a few more of those. You can add paper into them as well, and then I'll show you what they look like when I come back. But that's the general idea of making them. You turn it upside down. You turn your piece of work upside down so you get this lovely bobbin effect on the other side, which is really, really nice. Now with this one, I've changed the threads up. I have the green bobbin thread and the pink, the light pink thread at the top here. I have some tea-stained paper. I have a little bit of waxed paper that's been tea-stained, and I have my tulle on top here, which, remember, the top here is going to be the bottom of your finished piece. So I don't want to be scrunching up my paper. I only want to be scrunching up the tulle on top of my piece here. And I might try using a zigzag on this particular one. So let me just raise my foot up, and I'll change that to a bit of a zigzag and see how that one goes on here. I'll take it quite slowly. So just scrunching up my tulle. It is a double layer. And because that's wax paper underneath the tulle, it's really quite slippery. But we'll see how that turns out. So it doesn't all have to be fabric. And these are just my scraps of paper on this. Okay, let's have a look how that turns out. And that's how that turns out on the other side. I like that a lot. And then you've got all the scrunched up tulle behind it. Like that. It's hard for me to see where the camera is. So that's on a zigzag. That's the other side. You just get your plain zigzag stitch on that side, and then you get your lovely effect on the right side. So there you go. I'll go ahead and do a few more, and then I'll show you what they look like properly. Okay, so I used up all the bobbin threads on what I've made, and these are the green bobbins and the pink top threads. So we have an embroidery thread on this side, and we have a sewing thread on the bottom side there. Remember, you're working in reverse, so that went in the machine like that, but that's going to be the right side. So I've made all these little ones. I've done some just on paper. That was just to finish off the rest of the bobbin thread. You can see where it ran out there, but I can use that. I've done some with a bit of glycine paper. I've just sort of scrunched it as it went into the machine. Just a couple of little toppers, which is a bit of tea-dyed paper, and a little bit of wax paper. I put that in the machine that way. I pre-scrunched the wax paper before putting it under like that, and then just ran down the middle. Very simple, very effective, and they're the paper ones with the tulle scrunched up on that side. So that's the green ones there, and here are the pink fabric ones. These are mainly all paper, and these ones are all fabric and tulle. And I really like how they turned out. I think they're very easy and very effective, and that is not my original idea. In fact, this method has been around for many, many years, and it was brought to our attention by the lovely Ruby from Little Books. If she has a tutorial on it, if I can find it, I will put a link to that in the description box. Also, I love how shabby that is, because it was thanks to her that it was brought to our attention. I think it's a quilting method that gets used quite a lot, and we can adapt that to journaling, can't we? So I also don't want to give too much away here. Not that it's giving anything away, but you can just use it on a plain paper as well. On that side, see how I've got just the straight stitch in pink, and I've got the pink embroidery thread on that side, and it just gives a lovely texture, and that's a straight stitch. And on this one I used, where is it? On this one I've used the zigzag, and on that side it has the lovely pink zigzag thread, and that's the effect it gives on the other side, which is just a normal zigzag. So there's quite the contrast there. So very, very useful to know. And that's how I'll be using my embroidery threads from Cobeads, and my sewing threads also. I can probably put that one back in there now, and I'll take the pink one out and put it back in there as well. I have just about used all the other two. It does go through quite a lot of embroidery thread. That's why I wouldn't suggest you use your top quality embroidery thread for this kind of project. But something like this is perfect for it. And also our little sample cards that I made are here. So I have my 3 sample cards that I've made using the cards from Cobeads, and then there's some spares to include in the journals. They just fold over the top like that for whoever to make their own little sample cards also. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you like these really easy projects that I've put together just using these products from Cobeads. Thank you, Cobeads, and thank you everybody for watching. Bye.